They hired a feminist female writer of color. They hired a Muslim directing duo of color. They changed Batgirl from a white woman to a black Latino woman of color. And they've given Batgirl a best friend who is a trans actor of color. The new Batgirl film is a $90 million loss for Warner Brothers.
Mr. Reagan.
When you get woke, you really do go broke. So it has now been reported that Warner Brothers has shelved the new Batgirl film. And honestly, I didn't even know that there was a Batgirl film in production, but apparently there was. And although film projects get shelved all the time, this is very different in that they finished the film. It's done, it's shot, it's edited. It's actually been screened, and this movie is apparently so bad that it has been shelved completely. It will not be released. This is crazy. This is a $90 million project that they're just not releasing to the public. They're just like, burn it. This is not fit for human consumption. Nobody should ever see this. So what made this film so bad? Why was it so abysmal that it had to be hidden from human eyes forever? Well, if you read the title for this video or checked out the thumbnail, you probably know, but turns out there may be a hero in all of this. There may be a champion for the fans, a defender of the modern mythos. I will explain in one moment. First, I have to sell you something. Now, Bank of America has just lowered its 2022 forecast for the S&P 500 by a whopping 900 points to 3,600, saying that we are headed for a recession this year. Shocker, I know. It said the new year-end target is the lowest on the street. This is not good news for those of you stuck in equities or anything tied to the stock market. Thousands of people have put their trust in Noble Gold to prevent losing money in the financial storm that is brewing, and you can join them by calling their expert team. Noble Gold was recently voted the #1 gold company in the country by Consumer Affairs. There's no call centers, no scripted response, no bull, just a straight, honest run-through of your options so that you can decide. And by the way, they're giving away this beautiful gold 1/10 ounce American Eagle proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover this month. You cannot go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. So according to rumors reported by the YouTuber Doomcock, the shelving of Batgirl was a strategic decision made by the new CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav. And why did he do this? This is the great news. This is the magnificent thing. Apparently, this is in an effort to de-wokeify Warner Brothers. I don't know about you guys, but this gives me chills. This is fantastic news. If this rumor is true, then, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly at an inflection point. If somebody this important in Hollywood is killing off the cancer of wokeness from a company as important as Warner Brothers, well, it looks like we may soon see a flood of new unwoke productions coming. Hollywood executives tend to be cowards. They've rarely got the testicular fortitude to take the risky initiative needed to start a trend. But once a trend has been started, they love to follow. And Zaslav may well start a new trend here. The anti-woke crusade. David Zaslav is really new at Warner Brothers, and Batgirl was greenlit by his woke predecessors, Ann Sarnoff and Jason Keeler. But even if the rumors are true and Zaslav is trying to de-wokeify Warner Brothers, it seems pretty crazy that he would just scrap a finished film. I mean, that is $90 million that he's just flushing down the toilet. So this film must have been so terrible that it was actually damaging to the Batman brand. And what could make a film this bad? Well, you've probably already guessed it, but I'll just say it. Wokeness. According to the sources I've read, this film is woker than woke. It was the wokest of all the woke Hollywood wokeness. And it was this wokeification that made the film crap. Ironically, this film being so bad that they're going to shelve it actually makes me want to see it. Like, I really want to see this now, just for the laughs. I mean, that's the only reason that I ever watched Birds of Prey. And speaking of Birds of Prey, they hired the same feminist hack who wrote that flop, Christina Hodson, to write this film, Batgirl. Like, you know, when you hire a feminist hack to write a movie, I mean, you probably shouldn't expect the script to be good, but I get the impulse. All right, you're a leftist. You want to hire a feminist. You think it's the right thing to do. Maybe you've deluded yourself into thinking that feminists are competent writers. Okay, fine. I get that. I understand how somebody might make that mistake. But once the feminist hack writer writes something that fails so catastrophically as Birds of Prey, losing approximately $100 million for Warner Brothers, well then you probably should learn your lesson and maybe not hire the same feminist hack to write yet another film. And yet, that is exactly what Warner Brothers did. Hey, you know that steaming hot pile of dog excrement that you wrote that lost us $100 million? Could you do that for us again? And so now they've lost another $90 million because of the same woman. This woman is box office poison, guys. This is a toxic relationship. Walk away. Now, I have asked around for a copy of the script because, again, this thing has got to be hilarious. Now, I doubt that I'm going to be able to get my hands on it, but if I do, I assure you that I will make another video providing you a summary of the plot and highlighting all of the woke magic. And it is certainly woke, and we know this not just because of the feminist hack writer, but also because they brought on a pair of diversity hire directors. And perhaps that sounds harsh to call them diversity hire directors, but I think that's exactly what they are. These guys are from Belgium, but they are of Moroccan descent, Muslims, exactly the type of guys that Hollywood wants to hire because of diversity and equity and all that stuff. But the only major Hollywood film that these guys have directed was Bad Boys for Life, released in 2020. Now, I saw Bad Boys for Life. It was objectively terrible, and I really did not want to hate that movie. I honestly wanted to like it, and when I went in, really with zero expectations, and I really cannot express how bad that film was.
Oh, this is my wife's car.
That's Carver Remy.
You don't know that's Carver Remy. That could be anybody.
Cover the front door.
I'm retired. I'm a civilian. Oh. Oh.
So you bring in this diversity hire feminist hack writer with a proven track record of failure, a diversity hire pair of directors with a record of poor quality work. I mean, if you want to teach a class on how to produce a flop, just teach a class on the making of Batgirl. The producer of Batgirl is a woman by the name of Kristen Burr, and given her list of credits, it doesn't look like she's been historically woke or feminist or even a particularly bad judge of quality. Rather, she appears to now be producing woke feminist projects because it's on trend. And so it's not Kristen Burr that I blame for this flop as a producer, but rather the woke influence itself. If a producer like Kristen Burr allows the woke cancer to metastasize in her film projects, they will destroy them, as illustrated by the steaming hot pile of dog excrement that is Batgirl. So, of course, in this film, they made Batgirl a black Latino woman, and, you know, Batgirl is not a black Latina woman. In case you're unaware of the character from the comics, she is very much a white girl. In fact, she's a fair-skinned, red-headed white girl.
As long as you're holding class as Penguin, perhaps you'd include Batgirl, too.
Batgirl?
Let's see what Batgirl can do.
But of course, in this new film, they've got to make her a black Latina woman. Not just black, but black and Latina. I'm surprised they didn't make her trans. But you know, I'm pretty sure they did consider making her trans because they did make her best friend trans. No joke, Batgirl's best friend in this movie is a trans actor who goes by the name Ivory Aquino. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if that's a made-up name or what. Ivory Aquino. I don't know. So let's recap. They hired a feminist female writer of color. They hired a Muslim directing duo of color. They changed Batgirl from a white woman to a black Latino woman of color. And they've given Batgirl a best friend who is a trans actor of color. It's like somebody ate a gay pride flag and then vomited it back up on the yet unwritten Batgirl script, and then whatever that mess was became the film. The resulting pile of steaming hot dog excrement was then, as I said, shelved by David Zaslav because it was so utterly abysmal that he did not dare permit it to ever be seen by human eyes. And here's the thing that really gets me about this. Initially, Warner Brothers actually did plan to release this film. They actually screened this thing for test audiences, and only after getting the reaction of these test audiences did Zaslav shelve it. Now, test screenings are pretty common for Hollywood films. I've actually been to a few myself, and they're a bit of fun. You get to see a free movie, and then you fill out a survey card afterwards, and then they go and they do some reshoots, maybe cut the film a bit differently, whatever, and then they put the film out, tweaked, and hopefully improved. But in the case of Batgirl, well, Zaslav must have seen a cut of the film and said, "What is this? Is this even watchable? What are we going to do with this thing?" You know, let's get in front of test audiences and see what they think. And then, after seeing the reaction of these test audiences, well, that must have confirmed his worst suspicions, and so he just said, we can't show this to anyone. And you got to understand, this has never been done before. I've never heard of this happening. I mean, maybe it's happened to like a smaller project or something, but I've never heard of this happening with a project this high profile. This is a major DC superhero movie, Batgirl. This had Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman. This was something that people were going to see whether it was garbage or not, and it was still considered so bad that David Zaslav felt that he had to shelve it. I cannot tell you how much I want to watch this movie now. To see a train wreck this bad has got to be truly spectacular. Now, there's another rumor going around, and I don't know if this one's true or not. I've heard conflicting things. But some are saying that at the end of the Batgirl movie, they actually killed off Batman so to permanently replace him with the woman of color Batgirl. And I could totally see them doing this. They killed off Luke Skywalker, replaced him with Rey. They killed off James Bond, replaced him with a black woman. They were planning to do this in the next Indiana Jones film, from what I've heard. I said earlier that Hollywood likes trends. They've replaced tons of major male characters lately with women. Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, Halo, Loki, He-Man. The list goes on and on and on. So, I don't find this hard to believe, and I think there's a very good chance that this rumor is true. But flops like Batgirl are, in the long run, I think a really positive thing for Warner Brothers and Hollywood in general, because I do believe that, as I said earlier, we are at an inflection point with woke entertainment. It's becoming impossible to ignore the direct correlation between wokeness and brokenness. Or perhaps a better way of putting it is that a project's wokeness and its profit margin are inversely proportional. As a film's level of wokeness is increased, the profit margins decrease. And there is a related pressure coming from the opposite direction, the clear success of shows and movies that are unwoke. Chris Pratt's unwoke Amazon series, The Terminal List, has been a huge hit with fans, even though critics hate it because it was written by a conservative. And you would not believe the number of friends that I've had calling me saying, dude, have you seen The Terminal List? It's awesome. And I have to agree, finally a show that has zero woke garbage in it. Chris Pratt is great, and it's really a lot of fun. And then there's the new Top Gun movie, Maverick. It's literally one of the most successful films in history, and it's a rare exception among Hollywood projects in that it is, according to everything that I've heard, glaringly unwoke. And I can't actually give you my opinion as I have yet to watch it, but I do plan to. But this is no surprise given that Jerry Bruckheimer, the super producer who created Top Gun, and he is back to produce Maverick, he is one of the few high-profile Hollywood producers who is openly conservative. And so when everything is going left and people are turning off the TV and they no longer want to go to the movies, and then there is an arguably conservative film like Maverick that comes along and it just floods the cinema with moviegoers, well, that kind of dynamic is hard to ignore. And so indeed, Hollywood is at an inflection point. Smart executives like David Zaslav, executives who want to make money, well, they're going to cut out the woke cancer. And thankfully, it looks like that's what's happening here. So I do think that we're going to start seeing more good movies and good TV shows coming out in the next few years. At least I certainly hope so, because I am right now trying to sell a TV show script. So if you're a Hollywood producer and you need a good unwoke project that will become a massive hit, call me. Well, that's it for me. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. Now, we have so many people who can't see a fat man standing beside a thin one without coming to the conclusion the fat man got that way by taking advantage of the thin one.